What is going on, guys? This is the Vaulted Podcast, your number one source for cards, collecting, and the community. I'm your one and only host, not Shivam, and we are joined again this evening by Cash Ketchum, aka Connor. How's it going, man? Yeah. Yeah, glad that we got everything working. It's a little bit of a later stream, so not as many viewers will probably watch right now, but it'll probably happen. There's a lot of stuff that I need to get fixed on the back end of stuff, so stuff needs to get on Spotify, but things will be okay. Let me make sure that your audio's coming in correctly. Say something.
Always. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yep. There we go. Your audio wasn't coming in for a second, but we're good now. That was just on my end because OBS had your mic off. But the last time we had you here, we kind of had this discussion about toys and specific collectibles within this space, right? The biggest thing that we probably saw this week and last week was a confirmation of the shiny Cynical Combat figure actually selling for, after taxes, $4,800, which is massive. Well, this is actually happening. Let me go ahead and get a link of this on YouTube and put it up on my story, so that way we are Gucci. Because it's a lot later than what we typically do. Share, copy link. I'm gonna take a picture of this. Boom, story, and this, and link. Boom, done. And get a live sticker. Live. And let me go ahead and put it on Discord that we are live for other people. Just to quickly do this. I should have done this while I was waiting.
Hey, you're telling me, man. I'm trying to get this is my crappy. It's like my actual built-in webcam. It sucks. It's so dark and stuff like that. So it's all good. This is it doesn't always have to be professional. It's all good.
No, I've been slacking as far as the podcasting goes. It's just lots of different stuff that has been happening. So I think the last time I kind of had you on here, I was kind of hinting at the possible the stuff that I was going through, and that was me working with eBay. Not many people kind of knew what that was knew that was going to happen. I think I can't really talk too much about the intricacies of that, but it's been an awesome experience working with eBay. It's been an awesome experience working with the people that are involved with that, and just working with some of my peers who do work with eBay at that kind of capacity. So it was a really cool experience being able to go to Indianapolis for Gen Con. Gen Con is definitely different than any other card show that you and I have gone to. It's it's all board games, dude. It's crazy. Everyone there is just mostly there just for playing board games, and the convention center is pretty much open the entire weekend. It does not close. People are in that convention for 24 hours for 4 days straight. There's stuff going on in the hallways and everything. So it's
wow.
Based off of what I've heard from other people before, in the past for Gen Con, it was this thing where they would have to tell people that they cannot stay in the convention center, because that's where it's at every single year, and it's been there for decades now, and people would actually stay there in the convention center, which is crazy. But no, it's super cool. The whole vibe is just overall fantastic. People are super mindful, super respectful of each other's boundaries and stuff. It's awesome. The convention center floor has carpeting, so your feet don't hurt as much after standing and walking around for numerous amounts of hours.
That's okay. Cool.
Yeah, it was just really cool, and just being able to work at that kind of professional capacity with eBay was just it was a whole new experience for me, because it's lots of revisions back and forth, which I was kind of doing already before with Ken Lee, the Pokemon Network. But it was this thing that I think was just really, really good learning experience. So who knows what's to come. My first month with eBay is over. Just now we're just wait and see. But besides that, what's been going on with you since the last time we had this podcast? Any new crazy pickups for yourself? Anything that you've accomplished? Because I know you had a few stories here and there after our podcast, completing certain things? Like, what were some of the things that you've accomplished or finished or you're currently working on?
We last spoke, I think it was right after our last like our literal last podcast, whatever, a few months, what, 2 or so months back. I got in my very last the figures, the finger puppet figures, the shiny figures that we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about. And I'm done. That was it. And it was definitely it was rough. Had to pay a little bit of a premium to get them out of a guy's collection because they were they were in very pristine condition, pretty
Oh,
much new. And so I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Like it's not like crazy, like hundreds of dollars, right? But it's just like, it was a little more than what, but within my range of expectation, right? So I went ahead and bit the bullet, got it done, and ever since then it's been just kind of focusing on, I guess cons- getting everything ready to, and I've been trying to take more pictures on Instagram and post a little more, right? Because everyone's been saying, dude, you haven't done anything in years.
yeah,
Post something, make it
got to.
yeah, make it a little more public, like we talked about. So I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? Let me just start posting a little bit of, some of the things that I recently accomplished. Got the figures out of the way. Um, I'm trying to think of something else that got finished. I think that was the main big because though I was pretty much almost done with everything. The only update I've had that I was telling you about, right, is that I might be because consoles, I like to do all outlets, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
And so consoles and gaming devices, not just the games themselves, right, but the actual like, limited edition World Championship DSs or Pokemon Center collection, those little things, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing
Um,
Swole post a lot of the world's DSs as of late too.
he bought the one that I was watching, right? And we were
Uh
both waiting for it to go down to a certain price point. And I didn't really care because that year specifically I mean, it's still only like 100 or so made. Like it's still insane. But for me, like I said, if I'm going to invest in something, it's going to be there's single digits, right? Then I can see myself going above and beyond in the 4 or 5 figure range, right? That's the only
hmm.
thing I'm going to do. And so that one, well, it's freaking awesome. He has such an awesome collection,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, I was just like, I'm gonna hold off on that one. Now there are different versions that they give to the VGC winners and the TCG winners, right? The video game championships and the trading card game championships. And there's only a significant disparity. I believe it was in what year was it? 2006? I'd have to look it up. I actually know a guy that he doesn't even know what he has.
Hmm.
He's not the most well spoken and easy to communicate guy, as most of the people are in the community. But this guy was he had the year that I believe there's only like 6 or 7 VGC winners that actually got the DS, and then the other like 100 were TCG winners. And I guess it was when they started incorporating the video game, into it.
Yeah.
And so they actually differentiated, and usually obviously there's significantly less winners of the VGC, or they get them less than the TCG because the TCG is much more popular. But this one you could actually see VGC winner and TCG winner on the DSs. So obviously you want the rarer version variant, right?
Yeah.
And so that was one I was considering getting. And I've been just kind of on the fence about whether I really, because I have other limited edition consoles and stuff like that. I was like, do I really need one? Because there's only a few one of a kind consoles that have to do with Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
There's the technically the only one that I believe is one of a kind that's been distributed as one of a kind is the Mega Charizard King DS IXL, 3DS XL, something like that. It was pretty much a small young aged parameter tournament for they could only use dragon types, I think.
Hmm.
And so kids literally did it, and one kid won and got a personalized like Mega Charizard X and Y 3DS XL, and it's engraved with his name, and that's it. And
Oh.
so I was like, that is something I would put a nice penny into, but I was like, I don't know if it's really worth it to get that. I have plenty of other stuff, blah blah blah. And then I think I might have found a someone we're doing. I'm talking with him right now, trying to look at the deals, or the details of it, because we're not sure. But this guy who has worked a lot with retro consoles and prototypes and all this stuff, and the guy that actually I've had discussion with, if you look up the guy that pretty much does all of the public detailing and kind of labeling of all these really rare consoles. I believe it's called consolevariations.com. It's great, good, cool people to work with. We've all been kind of discussion of, we believe we might have found a prototype of the very first non-handheld console for a Pokemon, like the Pokemon officiated or licensed non-handhold, like the Nintendo 64. We might have found a version of that. We're not sure if it's a prototype, if it's an early design, if it's an error, but we're trying to piece together those things. So that's something within I'm kind of considering, because I find that really interesting, and I would love a cool Nintendo 60. My girl loves Nintendo 64, so we're kind of on the ball about that. But that's really been the only changes ever since I got done. Ever since we spoke, nothing too crazy. I mean, finishing all of the shinies and being done with everything is obviously pretty crazy, but like nothing, like no notable pickups. I've been kind of chilling and relaxing and just kind of focusing on work and gym mainly. So nothing too crazy except for that. But yeah, that's been mostly it for me.
I think like a good project for you that I think like that I personally believe that you should eventually do is having like a comprehensive guide or a list of all known shiny products ever made, right? Because like a lot of people don't know this, and I've said it in the podcast. If you haven't watched the podcast that I had with Connor here in the past, that I will owe it, like in the past, like I've said that I'm publicly the number one Pokemon figure collector out there, and then privately it was you. But ever since we had that podcast, it's like I hope more and more people recognize that Connor here himself is probably actually not even probably, most definitely has the number one Pokemon toy collection out there, right? And I'm not talking about quantity of the amount of Tomies that exist. I'm talking about quality based figures that have a level of historic significance as well as difficulty in terms of being able to acquire, right? We're not just talking about, like this was a short print of a normal Tomie. We're talking about lottery-based Tomies. We're talking about, having a complete finger collection, like a Bandai Daisuke Club collection as far as that goes. We're talking about, different things that are out there that are very, very difficult to acquire that Connor has, that again, most people do not know. Most people don't know this, but a lot of the information that I've received in the last 3 years is mostly due in part to Connor. So like, I got to give respect where respect is due. And it always goes back to the saying that I always tell people, you're always standing on the shoulders of giants, right? You learn from someone else, and then you pass that on to someone else who can, definitely, take that, an extra mile further, right? And, I think I've done that in the sense of being able to create a level of exposure within this space. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% due to it. I'd say I'm a part of a sum of people that probably have given a level of exposure to the high end side of collecting figures. And I
would say you're the most. I'd say you've probably given the most. You've been the most vocal. I've been following people for like I said, I've been here since the beginning, right? Of the kind of the toy upbringing, right? And all that. And it's so funny that you mentioned that, because toy was never even my thing. It was originally video game, and then I kind of got the rare shiny, world's first, all that stuff. So then I went to the TCG, and I got a lot of the stuff that I wanted there. World's first, the full EX Deoxys set, right? All the crazy crap. And then I went to toys, and I kind of, I wouldn't say stayed, but I kind of went to the toy / merchandise side, because I was like, there's so much craziness here. Why is no one, right? And like I said, I like to do of all things,
everything. Right? You're a Pokemon collector, not just a card collector.
Yeah, I can't just stay in cards. I can't just be the video game guy. I can't just be the, it's got to be everything, right? And yet I stayed in the the toy section because, like you said, there was so much hidden potential, and I've been watching it, right? And I not a very vocal guy in person, but I was never really had that. I got to go out and talk about it. One, because I'm like, people don't know about it. I can get this shit for cheap, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I also was like, I wish we knew more crap about it because I'm the one that's
Yeah.
having to figure out a lot of this. No one knew. There's so little people. Like I was so happy. I think I told you last podcast. Shizzle Me Timbers or whatever.
Yes.
He was the first. It's awesome collection, insane.
Dude, insane.
Dude. I've been
The
watching
Bandai
this.
Pokedex that he has, it's sealed. It's like ever since I saw it, like I've seen it for a while now, but like that's something that I want in my collection. It's like, man, that is sick.
Dude, he and I love people like him, Swole, even I really like Rusty's versatility in his collection. Those guys, right, is like we've worked so hard to kind of dig and get, and it's all about who you know, right? And get some
Absolutely.
information about maybe this guy, but it's pretty much the only way we've ever gotten information is essentially working with people that have either been with Pokemon or directly there's like some sort of lineage there, right? There's some
Yeah.
sort of like I knew a guy that knew a guy, like very direct contact. And that sucks because it's like that information is few and far between. I wish we had a more people doing the research so it's not just the same 5 people. Like Shizzle, like I told you that Mega Gyarados battle or whatever, and it had the medal that he freaking found. He's the first person I've ever seen that actually found it publicly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been looking for that shit for 5-6 years, and I never could find it because there was not even a picture of it.
No,
and so
there's a lot of things in Pokemon that do not have images of. Like, shoot, I was on Bulbapedia the other day, looking at the list again for date releases for the combat figures, and there's still no images of the non-shiny Scyther, non-shiny. And I'm like, really? There's no images of this? And I have it right here. It's just, here's a picture, like, there's, like, it's crazy to think how much stuff has been lost in 2.5 decades of Pokemon, right? Like, there's a lot of things that we're just now uncovering, right? Like, a lot of people don't know SM Black, Jean-Luc, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know him, and I talk to him very, very often, and he's gonna be on the podcast here eventually once I have him scheduled out. Yeah, he was supposed to be on the podcast like literally a week after California, but like I was not like there. I was so fatigued out from traveling. I was like, what? Totally. I'm not doing any podcast this week. I'll do it I'll do it towards the end of the week and then get it done out of the way. So like that was one of the things that I did, but like. One thing is this, and it's just something that it was I found it on eBay, and I just could not find any information on it, and I couldn't find any articles, I could not find any images of it whatsoever. So I asked Hadoken Nito about it. He knew that it was a Japanese release, but he didn't know how it was released, right? We know that it's by Gina Sonority, which is the company that made Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness, but it's the Shadow Lugia, right? And it's the only one out there, and I was like, how was this distributed? Because it's like, it's been created. I want to know the actual release of it. I want to know. Jean-Luc basically told me that it was a Famicom guide promo, but we don't know if it came with the guide itself or you had to get the guide and then get something out of it and then mail it back just to be able to get the promo. That's something that I do not know still. So like it's just one of those things where like it's important as as collectors that we're constantly having this open discussion about collectibles and the history of it and how it's distributed, because like when I first came into the hobby, right, there was a lot of information that was just kind of kept to the same few people, right? And this is a conversation that I had with Aesthetic Chimp about like signatures, right? And the importance of it, or being able, and like what the information is behind it, right? A lot of that information was just stuck with the same people who just kind of monopolize that themselves, because it's like, oh, if we only hold on to that information, we can take advantage of this particular market when the time comes, right? It's sort of like, but and I understand that aspect, because it's like, for me, if I didn't tell people about, if I wasn't shouting at the top of my lungs in terms of content and showing the same piece of collectible over and over and over again, then I wouldn't shoot myself in the foot when it comes to the shiny combat figures, right? Like, we just saw a shiny combat figure of Cyndaquil, which is not even the most rare one, sell for
Not by
$4,800. 2 years ago, it was selling for $450, a little over 10x.
Dude, I've seen unsealed ones that, even have all the parts. You could get a couple years ago for like $50.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if it was in, that's obviously not in great condition, all that stuff, and obviously there's a huge premium as it goes up. But yeah, dude, it's Cyndaquil is like one of the least popular. Like
yeah.
it's just like it and like maybe Tyrogue are just like, yeah, it is. I love them, but it's like those are like, it's not the Blastoise. It's not even the Chikorita,
Even
right? Because
Blastoise is fairly common.
yeah, oh yeah, you would think it's obviously more popular. Yeah, the you have ones obviously like the Charizard that are just absurdly expensive, and then
Yeah,
Scyther absurdly rare. Pikachu both right kind of has that
yeah.
both going for it, but
And
like
then you talk about the second line of that with just Heracross, Zapdos, and Heracross,
yeah,
Zapdos. I think those are the two from that second line that are very difficult to acquire. I don't think there's any actual images of
uh,
Heracross sealed.
the oh yeah, sealed Heracross is ridiculous. I think I've seen a sealed Zapdos, right? I think you and I
I,
probably saw
I
the
have
same
that,
one.
but
Yeah.
it raises concerns with me where it may or may not be resealed. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Well,
Um,
even a completed
in box,
Zapdos,
yeah, that's very tough.
like that's or dude, even a Zapdos with all the pieces. Those are some of those pieces right there. More than the Pikachu, more than honestly, I would say Pikachu is probably the hardest to find with everything because it has projectiles and they're small and there's
Yeah, out of the
numerous,
box. Yeah,
right? I believe Zapdos has four. Yeah, it has four. I actually have to look for my other.
I have it.
I have them, but like it has four shooters for Zapdos, and they're
Yeah,
teeny, right? And so that's absurd, even to find a completed Zapdos,
yeah.
much less one that's actually sealed,
Yeah,
right?
I
And
don't
so,
know. It's so iffy. Um, I don't know.
hey, well,
It's
you're the only one. You're the only one with any. So
yeah,
right now, you kind of, regardless, you have the closest thing as the thing can get. You know what
yeah.
I mean? And so,
I
and
think I
dude,
think. Oh, go ahead.
go on.
No, you go
No,
ahead.
you go. No, 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 no.
No, I mean like I think like within the last few weeks and like just kind of going really really hard on figures, I think like people have kind of expressed a little bit more, interest behind it. Like I know Latios King, he has just as much love behind like with shiny figures just as much as I do, and he's been helping me, try to complete, the shiny Pokédoll collection, right? Like he's been like looking out for me as far as that goes. And then there's like other people who are within the hobby that appreciate all of this for what it is, and it's just really cool to know that, it's not just in the sense of content, right? There's more and more content creators that are talking about this stuff, and I think that's what pushes the envelope a little bit further, right? Like I think that's what kind of pushes all of this. So like even though I kind of shot myself in the foot as far as the Cynical goes, it's still really
It's all
great to see that
yeah.
these things are getting the attention it deserves, right? Like there's a lot of things that are kind of just lost, right? And if we don't talk about it or express any interest behind it, then it's always going to be lost, right? Like if we just keep talking about cards that are always on the market every single time, then people aren't going to forget about it, and you're just going to see the same thing over and over and over again, which is, I love cards, don't get me wrong. It's just one of those things where we're always going to see. It's not something that is tough to find. Like a lot of the stuff that you kind of have to do is sit down and like ask the right people the right kind of questions, and kind of do your own research at that kind of capacity. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know I didn't know much about, I was always adamant about not buying plushies because I'm not a plushie collector. But understanding the importance of how the distribution of the Pokédolls were, and knowing that there was only 250 made of each of those things, and how difficult it was to acquire at that time, and how much money people spent at that time just to be able to win the lottery just to get it, is crazy. It
Yeah.
really is crazy. And that's just something that as a collector, I'm more than happy to keep an open mind about. Like if someone says like, oh, Shivam, by the way, that might not be the most rare figure of that, this is more rare, and they'll provide me articles of it, and I'm like, oh wow, I did not know that. That's something that I appreciate as a collector, more so than
Yeah.
anything else. And
Yeah.
I think I don't know what these I don't know what the actual cap of the most rare versions of the combat figures would go for, because no one's listing them up for sale, right? Like everyone is keeping it the way it is, and honestly, part of me just wants to say like fuck it and just list every single one of them up for like atrocious numbers and just see how much attention that would get.
Dude, that's what I did with my Tamushi Magikarp. It was the only PS Gem Mint graded one, right? For a while, so I'm like, you know what? I have no interest in selling it. I don't care. I just want to see where the market's at based on interest. Yeah. Right? Whatever. If someone gave me $50,000 for it, I would still be like, probably not. Right? Yeah. Probably not. Because it's just one of those things where, and I've recently just got an offer for a guy that's like, I'll give you $10,000 and a PSA 9. Right now, regardless. And I'm
for
like,
your Tamushi Magikarp?
Yeah, the same one.
That's
PSA
insane.
He was going to give me a PSA 9 one and $10,000. And this is just a BGS 9.5. Right? And so I'm like, you know what? And I think the grade was absurdly hard.
How many? What's the pop on that in a 9.5?
Oh, I don't even know. I think it was like a pop. When I first got it, it was a pop 1, I think.
Yeah.
When I first did, it was a pop 1. I haven't checked recently. Maybe I probably should, so I can put that in the title. But yeah, it's super low. Like PSA 10. You know what I mean? It's absurd. That thing was so hard to grade. It was so, and it's such a rare, pseudo trophy card. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just see. And immediately he was like, PSA 9, $10,000 on top for right now. And I'm like, dude, that's a very good deal. He was very adamant. I'll be like, no, this is a genius deal. You need to take it. And I'm like, I appreciate it. But my whole point of being up there is to really gauge the market. I don't need $50,000 right now. And I know this will just slowly go up. I don't think it'll ever really go down. Just considering how Pokemon is. Because we're probably at one of the lowest points in Pokemon interest right now, considering the context of history, because of, COVID and then the upsurge in prices, the economy, all that crap. And things are still going up.
I think a few months ago was the lowest point, right?
Yeah.
We're starting to see record sales across different verticals, right? We're seeing express interest among and it might not, and that could be the case for the bottom portion of the hobby. But when we talk about one of a kind things like these signature cards that we've seen that popped up on PWCC, right? Every single one of those sold for record prices, right? There's going to be more that are probably going to sell for record prices, right? We're seeing, obviously we saw record sales for this Cyndaquil right here. It does not surprise me that the people who are well off, like financially well off, are seeing this as a prime opportunity to buy up what's in the market.
Yeah, it's a buyer's market right now. It really is.
For them, yes, absolutely. Because they're not the ones who are struggling. They're seeing this as a prime opportunity to be able to buy out the market and just sort of have that level of control behind it, especially when the market goes back up. Yep. And so to me as a collector, when I see that level of confidence, especially from the people who are very well off and they're buying things now at the wazoo, then it's like, then it's only right and it's only smart to be able to buy things now to hold on to the things that you currently have, because you don't know what the actual ceiling is, right? We don't know, right? We just saw a Mickey Mantle SGC 9.5 sell for $12.6 million in 1991. That very same card sold for $51,000 to $57,000. That's a 30-year. That's 31 years, and the level of increase for that one card to hit 12.6 is absolutely crazy, right? In 2019, a PSA 10 first edition Shadowless Charizard card was selling for $40,000. It's crazy. Nothing will surprise me. I just think that eventually the numbers that we see right now that happen in other markets and other hobbies doesn't surprise me in the least bit as far as this goes, right? I don't think a shiny, I don't know, what's an off the wall shiny figure? I don't know, shiny Osh. I don't think a shiny. I'm trying to think. A shiny Swalo is going to, sell for $500. I don't think it's ever going to sell for $500, right? But I think that the people that have complete sets of that as a whole will have a huge premium, right? I think more and more people are going to want to have a complete set of that versus an incomplete set. Granted, there are major pieces within an incomplete set that people will probably want, but even then, we just don't know. Like even on eBay right now, we see a Mega Rayquaza sealed figure on eBay, and they're like really adamant about staying above 600. Like they reached out to me. They're like, we're not gonna sell this anything below 600. I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying you guys $600. And I'm like, it's whatever, but like it's just really crazy to see like what's actually happening in this space, and even though that we're in quote unquote the lowest point of interest right now as far as Pokemon goes, there's a lot of interesting things that are happening, right? Like a lot of the stuff that we see, like there's always stuff like this hobby is so dynamic that we're seeing so many different things across so many different verticals as far as this hobby goes, and just card collecting as a whole, right? We're seeing record prices for sports cards. We're seeing big prices for Pokemon. Like it does not surprise me, to say the least, that we're going to see. We're going to be back at that same ceiling eventually that we saw back in 2020. And I think we're going to see new records for different things that haven't hit certain prices that it should, when that happens, right? Like, cause everything is cyclical. But I want to know, cause like, I know you have everything in the sense of a comprehensive shiny figure, but if you could get one thing that you don't have your hands on right now as far as shiny figures go, what would that be?
It's just shiny figures.
Yes, or plush.
To be honest, plush. I was thinking plush. The only ones, so plush or figure. The only ones I really have a real, even though I already have the other versions of them. I think part of me is saying the Moncole dogs or the beasts, right?
Yeah,
the
Diz just got those 3 beast from Moncole recently.
Yeah, because I have here, I'll show like this one. I have can't remember if it's Moncole or Tomy or what, like,
Yeah, that's the zoo. Yeah, that's the Zukon. Yeah.
Zukon. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The Zukon, yeah, I have. And I was like, you know what? That's all I need. Like I just need one of each or whatever. I just need all the examples, right? I don't need like every version of every single variant of every single right.
Yeah, that's where the fault lies in with me, man. Because I want it all.
I can't do that, man, because then if I did, I would literally never stop. Because then I'd have to go, well, if I'm doing it for those, then I'd have to do it for the VG, right? I'd have to do it for a shiny living dex of every single thing of it and every single ball and every single thing.
You could just limit it to just the physical examples of those Pokemon. You don't necessarily have to keep it just at the VGC or the VG, I mean.
If I'm gonna be, dude, but that's the thing. If I'm gonna be all in, then it has to be all in. Like, and because that's how I'm more of the outlet guy. So if I'm gonna do one outlet, I have to have the rarest or the highest tier of this or comprehensiveness in this outlet, and then this outlet, and then this outlet. And I realized, do I want every plush? Of course. Do I want every example? Of course. Would I love a shiny living dex? Yes. And dude, you have to understand, in my discords that I'm in, dude, you have these guys that are top, like, that are just the elite tier in their thing of like, oh yeah, I just completed my shiny 912 different shinies, full odds, which I know you're not like a VG guy. Yeah. The sheer amount of hours that
to be able to complete that is insane. Yeah.
It's not even. It's dude. It's the only way they've done it is solely from whether it's Masuda method or like ways to make it easier. But if we're talking about maybe a super serious guy like a full odds hunter like me that just did it 1 in 8,000 for chance for just one Pokemon, and it takes who knows how long for each one. It's just like the human lifespan is not long enough, and I am not going to be a crazy alchemist that tries to live forever. You know what I mean? I was like, I gotta understand. I gotta set some parameters on myself.
So like, I get that. So like, I get the whole, like, I see it all the time, and I'm really stoked to see like people on Instagram who do catch like 1 out of 9,000 version, like, to just get that shiny, right?
Yeah.
But like, I understand wanting to be the best at it, but like, I have to ask, is there any sort of monetary gain when people do that? Or is it just for the pure aspect of being able to say like, hey, I did this? Because I don't know the financial side of this.
There is, and it's so funny. So I'll branch it out a little bit. So essentially, no, because it's been killed by genning, and genning is when you create essentially cheat. You make the Pokemon, and then you just put it into
Ah.
the device, and then you can distribute whatever Pokemon you want. Even though technically there is a very small premium because there are ways to detect genning in PvP when you're doing competitions, right? For actual, big things that no, that's gen, that's this. But pretty much, if you're in the know, there's easy ways to gen and not get caught. Pretty much, and plus, all the top guys that you just saw in the World Championships are genning. And so, me, who never cheated, right, essentially, was, well, pretty, no, never actually really cheated for anything I have, period, was, how hard it is to battle someone that has six perfect IV, perfect, because the odds of getting perfect IVs, it's gotten much easier nowadays. But back in my day when I was doing this 15 years ago, dude, there was no cheats, there was no genning. To fight someone and to have really good IVs on top of it being shiny was like that would take someone a year if they were lucky for one Pokemon. Right? And it's just like having all these teams for all these things. There is no, and it's all because these people are insane. It has nothing because they don't get any monetary out of it. Nowadays, it's way easy and it's way devalued. And so the only thing that really gets you any premium now for shinies, and that's still kind of limited because you can still technically cheat kind of by spoofing, is Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go, because you cannot, if you want a shiny, you have to do it. You can't cheat for it. Now,
Mm.
there are, I will say this, there are, and I've gotten these, there are ones that are serial ID'd from Pokemon Center New York, where if you went in during the event, right? You plugged in and you were able to get an event Pokemon, right? Like you've seen. Some of those actually, their ID numbers are not your trainer ID. They're actually 00001, 00002, and they're
Huh.
serial ID. And so we can actually track based on, oh God, I had to go into the depths of Reddit and Discords for a long time to really find actual receipts and almost like a lineage line of who had the very first serial ID 002 Pikachu that had Surf that was first distributed in Pokemon City, New York, on September 1st of 2001, right? And you have to figure out who has them, and then maybe if they're still alive or you can find them, maybe you can get that one, right?
Yeah.
Because there's only so limited, and those actually do cost a premium because those are the only ones you can't duplicate. That's the only reason why the VG you can't really. It's like, well, it's
Mm.
not who's gonna buy that, and even then they're very cheap. I am the only person to have a serial ID'd, and they're the lowest serial ID I could find as a pair. Pikachu and Raichu, the very first Pikachu and Raichu from like, there's only God knows how many were actually given out, but I was actually able to find both of them, Pikachu and Raichu, right? Able to evolve them and whatnot. I believe, the only person that has both.
Mm.
Technically, that's been categorized, and they were like, I'll be honest, like I think like $100 or so for each one, right? Which is absurd for a fucking thing of pixels, but you could also say the same thing for a shiny rock or a
NFT.
poster or whatever. It's all the same thing, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, NFT is it's literally just an NFT.
Yeah.
And but like I said, I got to do everything, and so I had to get at least that. And
Makes
so
sense.
the only one that really you can see has a premium, and it's shot up way more than those, is Pokemon Go. And that's why I started really seriously investing into Pokemon Go. Dude, I flew, like I told you last time, I flew to Chicago to get the world's first shiny Libre Pikachu, right? This is the first documented one, and I got it, and I spent a good amount of money to get it, right? And it's, you make deals, and it doesn't always have to be money. Sometimes you can trade, sometimes it's other things, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
my case,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where those, and if you go on eBay, dude, you can see people just look up Pokemon
Yeah.
Go
No,
shiny
I see it.
whatever.
I see it.
Yeah, like, dude, there's one, and this is, well, I'll translate it. The rarest. Me and my buddy were just talking about it. I'm best friends with the guy that owns it. The shiny Detective Pikachu. There's only one documented, and it's famous. So it's obviously the one I have is also one documented, but technically this one's more infamous, and so it's gonna have a lot more notoriety to it. This guy's the only guy with a shiny Detective Pikachu because of a glitch. People would literally spend, and I'm not kidding, 5 figures 5 figures to have the chance to have this on their account. I'm
Huh.
not even kidding. They would fly to Italy and spend 5 figures to have it. And he goes, well, no, I'm friends with the guy. I'm lucky friends. I'm like best friends with him on the app, right? We've been friends. We've known each other for like 2 years, 3 years
Yeah.
since I found out that it happened. And me being a psychopath, found out his personal information, contacted him. I can speak Italian because he's an Italian guy, and just kind of we're both Italian, so we kind of did that sort of thing and been talking. And he's like, no, man, I've had people offer me $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000, right? And he's like, I'm just not interested because I like the game. I'm not gonna sell it, right? And so, but people are legit willing to spend it because the market, and not to the market, the population that play Pokemon Go is huge. And because you cannot duplicate them, you can't just say, hey, Niantic, can you please give me a shiny? And like that. No, you have to go out there and work. Now, people can spoof and like pretty much pretend that they're in another country and get Pokemon that are limited for an event, but generally they can also get, banned and whatnot. So people still do it, but not as much. And those are only for like those Pokemon aren't as valuable, obviously, that can be spoofed. But ones that you can't spoof, like you have to hatch, you have to be the world championship. The world championships that just happened, right? That guy, the guy who won, those 2 dudes that won, ended up getting their own avatar costume just for them, right? Where the guy's like holding up the trophy and da 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 da. Like he has it. So if he were to sell his account, right? That's and the reason why they also did that is because they're more than likely not gonna give you a Pokemon for that specifically, because then you could just trade it and then that's monetizable, which they don't want. They don't want there to be an economy. That Niantic is the only one that should get money for their game, which I get, but I still hate Niantic, but whatever. So they're gonna give you an avatar item because you can't trade that. You'd have to sell your whole account, which they can't really control, right? They can't do anything like that. But that guy probably isn't going to. Right? It's one of those, it's one of those things. So as far as your question, I know is a little extended, but there is technically, yes, a very small premium to a medium premium on serialized Pokemon in the VG, as well as perhaps even serialized shinies. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, no. Pokemon Go, however, yes.
Yes. Okay.
And so it essentially just comes down to, can you duplicate it? But that to me is crazy because, and that's where I started off with. That's how I know the people that do the VG are insane. That truly, I understand because that's where I came from and that's what I've done my whole life. But to go into another market, people are like, this is crazy that people are getting cards and da da da. Well, at least you can know how rare it is. You know the population. You know this. These people are getting things, essentially NFTs, that can be duplicated, screenshotted, and they're still and not even just like, they could cheat and get it instantly, or like I said, screenshot it essentially. These people work for hours on end to get this shiny. And I wouldn't even say hours. Years sometimes. When I was the world's first documented person to get that shiny surfing Pichu, that whole documentary I made like a year or 2 ago, that took me, technically it was a journey of about 7 years, but 7 years of play, and then 2 years straight, I think it was almost 3 years straight, every day playing for hours, doing the hexadecimal manipulation of coding because no one else had figured out how to get it done. I did this shit for years. For years, talking to coding guys, trying to do this, and just resetting, manipulating all this, playing with numerous devices simultaneously, get done with my job, the gym, and just sit there for hours. It like a sociopath, right? And I could have just faked it, right? Or cheated, and then got it in 5 minutes. But I did it, so it's you kind of look at the guys who do speed runs, right? You could literally just beat the game with a hack in 5 seconds. Why are you working for years to get the Super Mario Brothers speed run under 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Right? Why?
That makes sense. I just think like myself as an individual, like as much as I do love the video games, like as a collector, and this is just like, and I mean, I understand because like I'm one of those doofuses that consistently spends money on Fortnite to buy skins. I am that person that does it, and I think having friends who do play Fortnite as well, they're not the best influences as far as that goes either. So like I get it, but like at the same time, it's like, man, like having a physical representation of what you see on the internet is just so much better in that kind of capacity for me, and that's just an opinion, right? Like, yeah, like I see like the obsession behind, wanting people wanting to spend a lot of money in Pokemon Go, right? And like you said, they're spending lots of money just to be able to get like actual shiny Pokemon, or they're going out of their ways just to be able to do it. And I mean, I witnessed that myself in California. My buddy Zach Lugo, who is very big on TikTok, he has like 10 million followers on TikTok, and my other friend Autumn, we were at this sushi place, and they were obsessing over Pokemon Go, and I'm like, I don't know what to think right now, right? And
Let
so
me
like,
meet these people. I need more obsessed Pokemon Go players.
no,
Right?
they're out there. Trust me, they're out there. They're, like, the people that you see that make content about Pokemon Go are people who obsess over it. Like it's what they do, like Trainer Tips and Mystic, like all those guys, they all play.
Pokedaxian. Yeah, Pokedaxian. I've been helping him personally with some stuff as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
those.
yeah, all like they're crazy about it. And so like for me, it's like it's cool, but like you see a shiny Rayquaza in Pokemon Go, right? But what if you got a shiny Rayquaza in the physical aspect where there was only a limited amount made? Me, it's like, oh, okay, like it connects the two and two, right? Like you have a Pokemon Go player who sees this, but it's like, man, I really wish there was like a physical representation of this shiny Pokemon IRL. Well, if you wanted a shiny Raikou plushie, there's only 250 of them made, right? And there's going to be well over 250 people out there who want one, who want one, or maybe even want more, right? So like that's kind of like that was like sort of my process into getting into this, as well as like being obsessive over it. And it's just something that I connect with, because like at the same time, like we have cards, right? Like I can't play with my Pokemon cards because they get encapsulated, and it's like I can't really play with this, right? I can look at it and I can appreciate it for what it's worth, but like I can look at this and be like, oh yeah, this is, I can just do this, and that's fun. Like that to me, I find a little bit more joy in it. And I think that level of rarity that's there is something that that I appreciate. I think I already told you this. I think the last time I don't think you were with me on the podcast. I think I ended up getting this, which is the Gen 5 shinies that come with the Snivy, the Oshawott. My buddy still needs to send me the paper for it, because he also had the paper with it.
That's sick. Yeah, that's rare.
I'm really happy that I got that. Just been really good. I just went really hard, the last week or so as far as buying stuff, and I probably should slow down. But yeah, I finally
get it done. That's what I did, dude. Sometimes you got to bite the bullet and just get it done.
That was me with the Lugia. With from Hasbro. That was me, and I think out of all the ones that I've seen on Instagram from my friends that do own a factory sealed Hasbro deluxe electronic figure of Lugia, this is probably the best condition one. Like this is the best. Like it is a nice box. Like I'm not even playing. Like I even saw the one that I had literally a year ago that I sent over to Jordan Fringe, and I think this one is the best one. Versus the other two that I've seen from the other two owners. But besides that, I haven't seen any other ones. And I don't think I spent a lot in comparison to what I feel like other people have spent. I spent $1,100 on it, and I think other people probably have spent more just to be able to acquire it. I would have had the 10th anniversary Lugia, but that was a reseal, and I think that's more rare than this initial Hasbro Lugia. So like that's like the toughest thing, and like what kind of gave it away that it was a reseal was just looking at images of a legitimate factory seal one with a wiring that's available. I know my friend Vintage Pokemon Hunter, he has the actual factory sealed one. I looked at that and compared the two just to make sure I wasn't crazy, because like pretty much the only portion of the actual toy that was actually there that was attached to the card was the top portion of the bubble connected to the card. And I was like, okay, like maybe the toy is, just there and it's just maybe old glue. Well, no, I have toys that are far older than that are still intact with the card. So like there's something fishy here. And when I compared it to the actual thing, and I was like, this is definitely a reseal. So I was able to get a return. eBay basically accepted my case. I got a return. I shipped it back out Tuesday, I think. And I'm content with that. Get my money back. and that's pretty much it. And besides that, I haven't really gotten any other. I bought the rest of your duplicates as far as finger puppets go. Not a lot of people are probably gonna watch it, so I'm just saying fuck it just to say it. It's like this guy has been, basically he's basically been dealing me and helping me with my obsession of shiny figures, and you don't help, but it is what it is, and you don't help my wallet. You help me in the collecting aspect. You're not helping my wallet, but it is what it is. I think your prices are solid. I got a good decent amount of shiny figures coming through. And, I'm really, really stoked to make some content out of it. I think that's like the biggest thing out of it. Like, I want to be able to produce a consistent amount of content. Well, all the individual pieces that I do have and just consistently post it and just keep putting it in people's faces. Cause I think that's like the biggest thing. But, outside of that, I think the most expensive thing I spent was, getting that Beckett 9 Black or Greymon.
I saw you just posted, you finalized the deal with Wolfie. I was like, oh,
yeah, I hate myself. And my wallet definitely hates me. Granted, he's being, leisure, like he's allowing me to do a payment plans on it because I'm not trying to spend the whole wad all at once. So like, that's the upside of it. But like, dang, like the evaluation that it's at, it's like, okay, like this is a pretty expensive Digimon card. But at the same time, the person who was trying to get it was Brown Eyes. And I know if David got it, I would never, ever have an opportunity at it again. That's the thing.
Yeah. Did he just decide it was too expensive for his blood or what?
I think he just bowed out. I think like, because like I think it was getting to the point where it's like, okay, like this is a really, really high evaluation. I ended up having to put an extra 500, like agreeing to an extra 500 on top of everything. So all in all, you're talking about, because like Brown Eyes bought his 8.5 for like I think over $3,000, I think. And then with the 4.5 on top of that, you're talking about at least a $7,500 to $8,000 valuation on just the card itself. So like, that's already disgusting in itself. And so for me, it's like, okay, Murph Charizard King has a 9.5, right? That's probably going to be the only one for years and years and years and years and years to come. We don't see full on cases of Series 5 available. We don't even there's not even pictures of Series 6 available. And I know this is a Pokemon. Well, it's not even a Pokemon podcast anymore, so it's good that we can just go off tangent. Yeah. And just like if David understands this well enough to even match me, because like I basically matched David. I basically told Wolfie that I'm gonna match what David's doing, and I'm not gonna go a penny higher. Like that's it. Like this is it. Like you got me to fork over an extra 500. Cool. Like this is it. And I was being really, really adamant about not letting it go, because if I did, then I would just never, ever see it again. Like, I would never have an opportunity at it again unless he just, at a whim decided to sell it. And I know that if he would have got it, then he would dangle that over my face, like, metaphorically speaking. And it's like, if he wanted to sell it, he'd probably get the full amount that he would ask for. That's the thing.
Yeah, he would. He would.
Yeah, he would.
The Digimon community is like, I'm getting surprised. So the Digimon cards I was really interested in for a while were because I'm all about rarity, and serial ID is generally as rare as it usually gets, except for the championship ones. But I really desperately wanted the anime. It was the one where it's like has the gold stamp and then the silver stamp. There was like pretty much like the top son of Digimon, right? Like the one where it's like you see like the anime printing of it on the card. It's at the.
It's the animated series, yeah. The exclusive preview of the animated series, yeah.
Yeah, but the serialized exclusive previews, right? I think like 100 of them each. My buddy has numbers. The lowest ID I've ever seen, number 6, I think. And it's clean. It's clean. I don't know if you've ever seen. I know the guy that has a bunch of them graded. They are all absurd. They are the hardest Digimon cards I've ever seen to grade.
Yeah, I know one of the guys that owns that is a partial owner who's in charge of Burbank that actually has a fuckload of graded exclusive preview cards, but he doesn't have any number. Serial. Yeah, Kanto Chris. He's one of the guys that's putting on the event in Baltimore. I have a buddy of mine. His name is Pokemonkey Collectibles that actually has all the Digimon, the main Digimon in their champion form, and that's numbered to like 70 something. And that's really cool. He has it graded by PSA. I think it might be a 10. I can't remember exactly what it graded as, but like it's so cool. And that's like the prize of his collection. It's like that dude will probably never ever sell it. But like
Yeah.
the collector in me is like, man, Black Lord Greymon is such a badass that I want
Oh,
that. Like that to me is
dude.
my grail in Digimon. Like it was either that or Beelzemon or Gallantmon. Like or Imperialmon Paladin mode. Like it was either those,
Dude,
but like to me,
your Imperial Dramon Paladin mode, dude. I was like, gosh, I am this. I'm not. I'm out.
are you talking
I'm
about the
starting
9.5?
out,
Are you talking about the
but
nine
like,
five?
I would, dude. I would. Yes, I was so like, oh my god, I want that. What is the pop on that again? Was it a pop one?
None
Pop
graded
one.
higher. And I don't think we're ever going to see another 9.5.
That to me is better. I'm sorry. I besides that serial Greymon, like the low
Yeah,
ID.
there was a guy on Facebook selling like a serial Greymon, and he wanted like 2,000 or something like that. I'm like,
Which is
I
honestly,
can't
dude,
justify it.
that I can. I would depending on the condition.
Yeah,
If it's mint condition and it's honestly any serial number, I think it's worth a couple grand. I just
yeah,
do. It just should be. I'm sorry, it just is.
yeah.
Because the rarity, because I'm rare. I don't care what it is. If it's popular and it's rare, it should be worth a certain amount. Just
I think
generally.
I think any Digimon is even if it's not serialized, depending on the release, I think it's 100% worth spend for me. I think it's 100% worth spending a lot of money on because
Yeah.
Bandai North America just doesn't, and this is no attack on Bandai. I think it's just they just don't do a great job at marketing whatever products that they release. And I hope they crush it with the One Piece. I hope they crush it with Dragon Ball Super, and I hope they keep on doing what they're doing as far as Digimon and keep pushing it the way it is. Because I think what they're doing with that is absolutely fantastic. I think there's a lot of improvements to be made, but I think back at that time, anything that's Series 3 all the way up is so tough to
Oh
find.
yeah.
And I mean, like, when we're talking about exclusive preview stuff, this was before. I think that in itself was also a short production, but not as short as Series 3 through 6. But what makes it highly collectible is the fact that you have serialized cards. You have
Yeah.
numbered cards that are within the set that's worthwhile in terms of collecting. And
Oh,
I think I have that guy's Facebook in terms of my messenger. I just had to go back. It was like fairly recent. It wasn't that long ago. It might have been like 3-4 months ago. Where I spoke to the guy where he was interested in selling his Greymon, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know if I can justify spending that kind of money at that time for that. I would much rather have like all the champion versions of the card of those Digimon and have that numbered because like you have all the iconic ones there. They're all right there. It'd be worth buying for me. But no, I think the end all be all is just to I'm content with having my Beckett 9 Black War Greymon, which is being shipped out tomorrow, which I'm super stoked about.
the
Um,
Imperial Dramon 9.5, dude. The gold label Imperial. I think that to me that would be the best. That to me beats everything. Just because like Imperial Dramon Paladin mode, in my opinion, is like the epitome of all of the best Digimon all put together. It's the ultra boss Digimon.
yeah.
And it's a pop one. And dude, the gold label with how his accents, the matching, dude. Can we just take a look at that?
I mean, this is just the Gallantmon Asia exclusive 9.5.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that, dude. That's such a nice, dude. Yeah, that PSA returned or the whatever the BGS return was stupid, dude. That
Yeah,
probably
and
was the
this Imperial me and TCG Cruise Ship own these. There's none graded higher. It's only a 9, but like I like the fact that it's a silver label.
it matches it, dude. I'm all about aesthetics, dude. If
But yeah,
I would
this is
prefer
my
to have-
baby.
that one. I don't know which one I like more. That one or the series because what is Imperial Dramon series
Series
five?
5. Yeah.
Why series 5? Yeah. What's the main in series 6? It's like
All
no.
literally having
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you just can't find sealed product of it, and if you do find them unsealed or any hollows and they grade relatively well, then you're sitting on something like really really special. And I mean that's another thing like to add. Like I graded 2 cards from series 6 and they graded really well to where they're now pop ones. So like obviously the high Andromon that I have right here, it's a 9.5.
Yeah, that one I
That's
really
pop
like. That's
one.
a good one too.
and then this Black Rapidmon, which is a Beckett 9,
That
which
also, yeah, that also
yeah,
was one of the better ones. I'm trying to
yeah.
remember the Beelzemon, I think the most expensive one from that, isn't it? I can't remember.
I'm I don't think maybe like you have Megidramon in there, you have Millenniummon, I believe it's also within the
Millenniumon,
set.
that's it. Yeah, Millenniumon, I
That's
think is the
that's also like super like I hate Murph for that very reason because he just has like all of those in 9.5s, which is crazy. Because like he pretty much bought it off the same person that I bought my High Andromon off of, and he kept everything in perfect condition. I mean, I'm happy about like having Aquilamon in a 9.5. That's a pop one, right here, and then Patamon, which is pop one.
That's cool. That's a
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just really like. There's stuff that I don't want to sell. I do have some of my Digimon cards up for sale, but that's just because like they either graded lower than my standards,
Mm.
and I feel like I can find like I feel like I can one day eventually buy something to be able to acquire, but also at the same time I want to be able to offset the cost of this Black War Greymon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of what you could. I mean, honestly what you're doing now, selling some of your excess 8.5s, you'll make your money back.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely.
No, I just have to find the right buyer for it. So I'm not too concerned about it. And even if I don't find a buyer, it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm content with having what I have. Like I think I completed, one of my biggest goals as far as collecting goes as far as like normal TCG based cards. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna own a 9.5. I'm not saying never. For a first edition Shadowless Charizard card or a first edition LOB Blue Eyes and a 9.5 will be a little bit more
Oh yeah. Yeah.
easier to acquire versus a first edition LOB. I mean, first edition Shadowless Charizard. I mean, who knows? It might be a lot easier to be able to acquire a
It would. It definitely would. And I even think the wavy, because you have the wavy print versus the whatever the
glossy.
standard.
I have glossy.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I guarantee. I still think a wavy would be, even though I know for a fact wavy, even honestly, LOB first edition Blue Eyes, in my opinion, is just rarer than the first edition Charizard. Overall, the print, I just think, his first edition base set was printed out the freaking wazoo. Right
Yeah,
now, obviously, first edition LOB was certainly not, and then wavy print run even less than that.
yeah,
So I think not only is it more attainable, definitely, I think it's way rarer and in my opinion more worthwhile. Now as far as the investment wise, I think we're starting to see a cap right now for the price of Charizard at the moment, and for the near future, I don't think it's going to go much. I can't say that because I said that maybe 3-4 years ago because I still think the price for those are absurd.
yeah.
I just do, but
I don't.
it like it's I get it, and price is what price is, and it's literally
Yeah,
subject
yeah. They're just
subjective.
random data entries.
Yeah, but like it's just like it is what it is. But I think you're I think Blue Eyes is maybe something that would be more lucrative in the long term, considering that the ceiling cap, the what it's I don't think it's been realized. I still don't think it has. It's so rare, it's so iconic. Yu-Gi-Oh obviously doesn't hit the hit scratch all the itches like Pokemon does for the
Hmm.
majority of people. But man, dude, I don't know how well you are invested in the Yu-Gi-Oh market when it comes to some of their stuff. I think we talked about it, the alternate Blue Eyes White Dragon Japanese trophy card from the second tournament and things like that.
Yeah,
Literally for the right buyer, 6 figures.
yeah. No, what's his name? Strictly Sealed. He just did a video, where my buddy who also edits. Well, I don't have him editing my reels yet, but he's someone that did edit not Simply Unlucky, but Strictly Sealed's most recent reel for the Festa Blue Eyes, and he said just
Mhm.
raw they cost like $20,000. I'm like, holy cow, that's a
Yeah,
lot of money.
that's went up way more.
Yeah,
That's
and so
crazy.
like and that's another person that will be on the podcast very soon. Strictly
Right.
Sealed, which is like the guy that kind of got like started my itch for vintage Digimon. He like sold me almost an entire blister case of Series 5 green packs, and I opened them all. I gave two of them
Wow.
away. I gave one to Steve Aoki. I don't know if he ended up opening it, but I did end up giving two of them away. Actually, I'm pretty sure like out of all, I think about 10 or 9 out of all the packs that I bought, I got hollows in every single one of them. And then like maybe I got like two um, 2 gold text, and then just maybe one was a dud pack out of all of them, which is crazy. Knowing that like the
I remember that. Yeah, I
yeah, because I
actually
did a
do.
live on that. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I still have it on Instagram. But like, no, that was really cool. But it was just one of those things where I think, I when we look at overall collectibles, I think it's just like regardless of if the interest for Pokemon might be down, it's just very very temporary, right? Like
Oh
I
yeah, no, I
always look
agree.
at things in the sense of like, oh, and this is and I'm changing topics real fast, but oftentimes as collectors, right, we always want to be able to acquire the things that we see, right? Like if it's something that we've always wanted in our collection, we want it immediately, right? But one thing that I do have to say to people is that if you have this level of patience with the hobby, you're eventually going to get it, right?
Yeah.
I waited well over a year, probably 2 years within the hobby before I found my first ever factory sealed Hasbro Lugia, and I gave it away, and well, it wasn't really given away. I got it, I gave it to my buddy who then reimbursed me for what I paid for it. But I did that, and that's good karma, and that good karma came back to me in the sense of me finding one in the future. Yeah, sure. I spent probably $450, probably 500 and yeah, about $450 more than what I paid for a year ago. But that to me is okay in the sense of the fact that I saw a 10x on a shiny Cyndaquil of all things selling for after taxes $4,800, which still blows my mind. I don't know what the reasoning was behind that. But I do know that there was actual serious bids from people up to even 2K. So even $2,000 for shiny Cyndaquil is crazy.
Dude, over $1,000 blows my mind. I'm
My
not even
my
kidding.
limit was $800.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna go at 500. That's what I
Yeah,
thought. I was like 600 maybe,
yeah.
right? And like that's what I thought. Thousands of dollars? I'm like,
But
and that just shows, like I said, dude, you have been such a voice for this stuff. It's most certainly paying off at this point, right? It just is. And it's
I mean, I
I
hope so.
I think so because I have, like I said, I've been around with especially the toy community, the merchandise community for so long, right? And I have never seen anyone as vocal. Just
Right.
not.
I just
Not.
remember like being on a lot of these Facebook pages that are very very niche, that it's only specifically tailored to things outside of the cards.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically like back when I was going really really heavy at this, like I'm spending like record prices for this stuff. People are like, "Oh, you're spending too much," or like, "Oh, you overspent." And that was it. I was like, "No, I think this is actually what it's worth." Cuz like I compare like I even though like toys are definitely different from cards, I look at it in the sense of, okay, well, if a PSA 10, let's say shiny Charizard from first edition shiny Charizard from Neo Destiny selling for $10,000, why couldn't a shiny Charizard combat figure sell for half that at least, right? Like that was
It's
my
a
thought
million times
process.
rarer. Yeah, it's a million times rarer. And as you said,
Yeah.
it's here. You can look at it. Yeah, you can put up a card, but it's like,
Yeah.
dude, the whole point of why we got cards is, well, I can't say this. Yes, you can also collect them. That was like one of the also points. And obviously, it's not like you're gonna rip your Charizard out of the box and play with it, right? I
Yeah.
get that, but I totally understand why it can't be why can't it be comparable? If anything, if it's even relative, right? The whole point of Pokemon in general is to collect them all. Gotta
Yeah.
catch them all, right? It
Yeah.
just is. So if we're talking about just Pokemon, why are we so biased to say, well, TCG, I can understand, everything else doesn't make any sense? It's
Exactly.
like what? No, then all we should go on if it's Pokemon, and then the only difference is rarity, right? Because if we're objectively looking at it, Pokemon is meant to collect. Cool. TCG is meant to collect. The figures are also meant to collect, technically, right? You're supposed
Yeah.
to collect them all. And so, okay, then whatever is rarer should then denote the price. And yet something went wrong, whether it's the marketing, whether it's just the I'm trying, even as a psychologist, I'm trying to look at the psychology of like what is it with cards. But I guess we've been so ingrained with like I guess it was the way cards were set up is that there were specific chase pieces and you had to get a lot of them and you had to buy packs and there's clear differentiation in what's rare, what's not, what's more
Yeah.
expensive, what's more usable, what's not, versus things like figures where it's just it is what it is and it's
Yeah.
whatever they're all the same price, it's just whichever one you want.
Yeah.
Then I get it. But
Yeah.
regardless, my whole point is, and what I think your point is too, obviously, is why can't it be comparable? Why
Right. No,
can't
like
it
I
be
recently and I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna acknowledge people in this, but like I recently had other content creators who are in collectibles who are that are very known, and my thing is that regardless if I like them or not, I can respect them for who they are for their collections, right? I can respect a collection, right? I don't have to like the person, but I can respect the collection because like respect is where respect is due, right? It takes a lot of time to be able to accumulate piece, like even just one item. It takes a lot of time to be able to put towards it. So there's a lot of respect in that. Um, but that being said, they thought it was dumb that I was hyping up a shiny Spinnerack combat figure, and I'm like, well, there's a lot of value to it, right? Like, and for me, right, I can understand a level of ignorance with people that don't necessarily correct. Like, oh, you spend $10,000 for a piece of cardboard, like you're an idiot. But like when you talk to collectors, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, like that. No one's gonna bat an eye at that, right? But
yeah.
like what blows my mind is when other collectors will you can give all the, and it's not just like you're making this up, you're giving them exact reasons as to why this is valuable. And there's plenty of content out there that I've produced or that's available, or just spending enough time. Like if these are people that have enough experience in terms of being able to find rarity in terms of just normal pieces, even outside of the TCG, then they should understand that. But what baffles me is the level of ignorance that comes from just completely denouncing, just a portion of the hobby that is toy collecting.
Yeah.
Like
I
we
think
know
it
the Dice Lucky,
yeah.
there are people that sell Pokemon cards that's from the Dice Lucky Club that sell for easily at a very minimum 4 figures, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, you had to send money into the Dice Lucky Club to get these. This is the only way you can get it. You couldn't buy them.
Those are
You
rare.
can't you
Those
can't
are
buy them.
literally probably less printed than
Yeah,
a majority of the dice key, right? There just is. The only ones even comparable would be the
the trophy
Espeon
cards.
and yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
yeah,
Umbreon and Espeon. Yeah.
and even those there are hundreds of those. There just are. There's
Hmm.
probably I still would be surprised more of those than there are those. And let's say mint. There's plenty of they're Japanese. They're all gonna be
Yeah.
mint if you haven't they've spat
Yeah.
on them and
Yeah.
eaten them, right?
Yeah.
How many mint sealed? Because I was also going for. I've seen plenty of sealed Espeon and Umbreons and all of them. I could have gotten all of them sealed a million times over. I just didn't because I was like, I don't want to spend that.
I don't think there are sealed shiny figures of Umbreon and Espeon for Bandai because they skipped Gen 2 completely.
No, I'm just saying in general of the
Yeah.
dice key lotteries,
Yeah.
how
Oh yeah. Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
is, you know what I mean? Those are way rarer, and they're from the same company, and like that's what I'm saying. Like what you're saying, it's like how, you know what I think it is? I think it's that one of the human conditions is that we become so deluded in like we look at people that are like sports guys like, oh, you collect cards, that's so gay and dumb. It's like you have a picture of Tom Brady on your wall like he's Jesus Christ. You're literally praising, you know what I mean? Yeah.
This came out in 2003. This came out before any Gold Star Groudons came out.
100%, dude. That was
The,
the OG.
this
That's
came
crazy.
out before Gold Star Rayquaza came out.
And it's so funny because in 2003, 2004, 2005, no one knew what shinies were. The internet was barely a thing. Dude, when I first found out that a Magikarp could be gold or a red Gyarados that shiny was, they didn't even coin shiny, right? It was like that's like one of the progenitors of truly, I think, was shiny Pokemon because they were just coming out with that stuff. It was right around obviously with Neo Destiny and whatnot, and it's like, dude, how are you gonna how do you not get that? And like I said, I really think it's a human condition. We delude ourselves and get so obsessed with like our thing, and we lose that empathy of just like, well, dude,
Yeah.
you don't
I
we see
I
like, well, yeah.
I have an understanding. Like I give a little bit of empathy and sympathy to people who don't really collect, and they're just the people outside looking in. Like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
understand why these things cost a lot. But when you like actually sit down and explain to them, like, hey, this is why it's valuable, they're like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. But like like where the level of empathy and sympathy kind of like just stops for me is when other collectors, when you give them exact reasonings as to why this is valuable, then it's like, oh, like that's just dumb, right? Like, why would anyone spend that much money on this, right? Like, I remember someone who reached out to me saying that, hey, I just bought a unsealed shiny Charizard for $450, and I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, it's because like I've been wanting one ever since I saw, you put a video of it or a post about it, and it's like, there you go. These
Yeah.
are not easy to find. Like
Yeah.
if you want something and it's not easy to find, then and you really really want it, then people are going to spend money.
Oh,
That's just
all
how
the
this all works.
Yeah, that's how no rarities were. I was one of the first people, dude. When no rarities first started becoming a thing, I was like, you know what, this is interesting. Before they even started putting E4 board forum posts
Yeah,
discussing it, which is how the whole internet knows about it now. We were discussing that in DMs, right?
yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, let me go out and see if I can see any of this stuff. Oh, cool, Yahoo Japan. I see a random one for $100. Cool, buy it, get it signed by Arita, and now it's worth, yeah. So yeah, just
I just sorry to cut you off, but I just think that this is just more difficult to grade versus these.
yeah, you told me that, and that's why I was not. I don't know which is the more aesthetic. Obviously, I think the left is more aesthetic, but
Yeah,
the
I think the
that
flow pattern on this is cool, but also like there's like little symbols, like digital symbols on the back of like in the actual foil in the background of this that I think is really cool too. But no, I agree. I think Imperial Dramon Paladin mode is just the coolest one because it's Imperial Dramon fighter mode, but with the Omni Sword, which turns it into Paladin mode.
Yeah, like dude, what's better? Like to me, if I were to ever buy anything from you, it would be one of those Imperial Dramons because it's just like, dude, that thing is so. And you know what else you've been opening that I've been so butthurt about that we need to do at the next Collecticon in October is dude, some of those goofy freaking boxes of like the Rugrat or the whatever your Dexter's Laboratory, I think, or all the like, dude, that's what I'm more into now because I'm like pretty much done with Pokemon
Yeah,
mainly. I'm
you're
like,
just having fun. Yeah.
it's nostalgia and like you've always just been about nostalgia and I'm like, yes, dude, I will pay $100, $200, hundreds of dollars to open some goofy freaking meme box and
Dude, I
like
don't even think it's a meme. Dude, those Rugrat boxes are numbered. They only made 7,000 of those.
I was legit going to get it, dude. I am legit this close to get those things. Like I'm not even kidding. That's what I
Yeah.
might spend my money on now. I'm not even kidding.
This is
Oh
the
man.
Chaser Series 4. I think me and TCG Cruise Ship own this in a 9, and then there's obviously Murph who owns this in a 9.5. Fucking douche.
God dang, Murph.
Yeah.
That guy. You think those will ever pop up?
In terms of value or on the market?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Obviously, we know they're gonna go up in value, but it's like how? Because I used to think too, dude. I was so sure. I remember the old English gold Zekrom and Reshiram. Those were pop, or the black and white secret rares,
Mm-hmm.
right? From the pop zeros on almost all of them, and I remember buying some of the pop one, pop two ones for a couple $100, and I'm like, and then people were wanting to spend $1,000 because they realized how low the pop was,
Mm-hmm.
and that Pokemon started going up, and I'm like, and trust me, I've opened boxes of black and white, and you are lucky to get a full art a box, maybe. Right? It was bad back then, dude.
Yeah.
Much less the
Oh,
secret rare.
this is a really cool question that someone has in here because the chat hasn't been non-existent. So this is the first comment that we had because typically we don't have podcast on on a Thursday night. It's typically Tuesdays, but I haven't had any podcasts on Tuesdays like in the last month. That's just mostly
Yeah.
on me. But you know how like Bandai came out with Digimon figures and it had the card in it, the ID
Yeah.
cards. So like you've
Yep.
seen my Blackboard Greymon toy
Yep.
with the ID of it. Um, what do you think about those toy figures and the toy figures sealed? And I'm gonna go ahead and start this off by saying that if you look at the time when those toys were released, that was the same time Hasbro had the Pokemon license, right? Bandai's molding for toys were far superior in comparison to Hasbro. The level of detail, like if you look at just the 10th anniversary fan pack that I have with the 10 figures in it, you look at what Typhlosion looks like, it literally looks like a banana. It looks deformed. It looks like there's something wrong with it. But when you look at every Digimon American made toy, well, I don't know if they're American made, but I know that every Digimon toy from Bandai, the level of detail with it is absolutely superior. And so when I go on Facebook Marketplace, or when I go on Facebook, the one thing that I think that Bandai has over Pokemon is the valuations of their toys. And they stay very consistent. They stay very steady. And they're expensive. They're not cheap. Like, I know people are willing to spend $2,000 just for a Digivice. And I'm like,
I was about to say the Digivices, dude.
Yeah.
The limited, lottery ones that they have there. I still have it in my watching. It was like some gold lottery Japanese.
Yeah. People are willing to
for
spend
like
dumb amounts of money on it. And so, like, just to kind of circle back to the question, I think those ID cards, I want to say could eventually, like, if someone could eventually grade even a PSA 10 or even a pristine 10, they're god. Because the way those ID cards were put, because it's like the Black War Greymon in Digibattle Series 5 has the same exact artwork in the ID for the figures. It's the exact same one, it's just a different foil. And I can just go ahead and bring that out right now. Let me show you. It's a bit dusty, but I haven't really found time to clean this one up. But it's the exact same artwork as the Black War Greymon from Digibattle Series 5. The reason why none of these will ever grade a 10 is because, like, the way they put the card up against the plastic and the bubble, there's another piece of plastic that holds that promo. It's essentially a promo that keeps it there. And there's pretty much always 99% of the time an indent on the card. And so, like, it's beyond impossible to land a PSA 10 or a Black Label or even a pristine 10 with it. So I think, like, if you're that person that's on eBay, I would 100%, like, always look for those ID cards raw and just try and see if you can get them in the best condition possible. They're not expensive by any means whatsoever. No. I would try getting that. I would shoot. If someone graded a PSA 10, I don't want to grade them myself because it's such a risk, but, like, if someone actually found one and graded a 10, I would spend a decent amount of money buying it because one, the toys are already expensive. You have to open up the toys just to be able to get it out, and, like, that in itself, you're losing so much value right there. So, like, it's kind of like the DDS Blue Eyes, right? Like, trying to get that out of the video games. It's almost exactly the same thing. So, like, it's super tough. I think I don't know if you can buy those figures in demand figures of, like, the chase stuff, then I think it's fine. Like, I remember buying my Black War Greymon for like $100 or so, and now it's like, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they sell for like at least $300 now. I could be completely mistaken because I haven't checked in a while, but the last time I did check, it was selling for $300. So, like, that's crazy.
No, that's and it's funny too because the ID cards in the back of those, some of them have never even been, for some of the releases, some of the IDs that came, there's not been a single picture of them. I think Prodigus was he and one other guy recently found there was like 2 or 3 of those ID cards that they could just not, they had no idea existed, just, well, I mean, they knew it existed, just never knew what it looked like. Not, they kind of saw it in one ad and some Japanese ad like once, but obviously didn't still have the picture. Like some ridiculous thing. Just a bunch of hearsay on forums and whatnot. And I can only imagine those. I mean, those probably are much more limited and probably, I would assume, had a different sealing, like a way of sealing. So maybe the inherent grading isn't as bad. But yeah, dude, I think overall a lot of those ID cards have a lot of room for growth, because
I think there's a lot of potential, especially if you can find one in mint condition with no indentions on it. I think, like, that's the biggest thing. And if you just find the toy and you buy the toy, I think that in itself is a really solid move. And I'm not talking about this in investing. I'm just talking about this in my perspective. Like, I would like I think eventually down the road I'm going to buy out all those initial figures with the IDs in it because I just think they're really cool. I think like the level of attention to detail and how they were molded at that time is top tier.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
I
it's
agree.
so top tier.
I think,
A-
yeah.
and I think that's obviously like Pokemon toys have definitely blown up in value. I think Pokemon toys just now recently caught up to the values of what Digimon toys have been selling for a while because like that's like so steady. Like I could put $100 into like a Black War Greymon figure that's sealed and it will stay at that value. Like I've not seen any tremendous decreases as far as those go because like so few exist
Yeah, they're
today.
very limited, great quality, and it's
Yeah.
just so nostalgic. Yeah, you're 100% right.
It's
Most
why
people,
Tomy. It's why a lot of people just go after the normal Tomy figures in comparison to like normal American made toys because like, there's Tomy just has a better quality in comparison to
oh
American
yeah,
made toys. That's why there was so. That's why Tomys are just more collectible. But I think that's changing with certain types of toys. I think with certain types of sets that are American made. I think that's changing. I think we're seeing a lot of increases as far as that goes, and I think that's just like the coolest side of this hobby, right? I think, you know, even though like we're not talking about cards, I think that I think and obviously we probably won't have time to talk about your Detective Pikachu. We're gonna have to have you on here to talk about it in the future.
yeah,
Um,
we'll definitely have another one.
but it's one of those things where I think it's just important to keep an open eye and an open perspective about it all, right? Like the way I was able to make my name within this hobby was to showcase things that weren't the cards, right? Like, yeah, sure, there's values with cards, like there's clout that's associated with cards, but like I was able to get to where I am solely based off the back of showing things that are not the TCG. And I've
Yeah,
gotten hundreds, if not thousands, upon maybe even millions of views just on the figures alone. So what does that say? What like when I post this, if I post a figure up on Instagram, that's not gonna get a whole lot of likes, right? It might get, but if I post like maybe a video, that might get a decent amount of likes, right? I mean, in terms of views, right? I post that up on TikTok, instantaneously, at least a minimum of 5 figure views. And
yeah,
every person that's commenting on there is like, "Oh, I used to have that. I think I have that. Oh, my mom tossed it out." Like, there's so much memories that are tied to toys, just as much as there's memories tied to cards. If
yeah,
there's if you can attach a memory to something as that comes from Pokemon, then I think it's gonna be worth value. And then you throw on the variables of like how limited is it, how hard is it to source out, is it mint condition, is it unsealed, is it not sealed? Like it's a no brainer for me.
I
I
agree.
hope there's more people out there that do appreciate. I hope that side of the hobby steadily grows, and I hope there's a lot more organic. I think there's a lot of organic growth. I think it's kind of hard to manipulate this market in itself because anyone who buys these things for stupid values, they're going to keep it. They're not going to let it go just for nothing. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I mean, I know you wouldn't sell yours for anything. Even before the market was developed, I offered Connor here stupid amounts of money for his shiny sealed Scyther at that time because after doing a lot of research, I've realized that's probably the most rare one, unless like you were to combine like unless you were to probably compare it to like Heracross or Zapdos or even
Mm,
a Charizard. I think those like the top four, but I think Scyther's probably the number one out of all of them, and
mm,
it's very difficult to find. Period. And knowing that its non-shiny counterpart is super expensive is why the shiny Scyther is more expensive. Like there's an unsealed shiny Scyther on eBay right now listed for $700. That's crazy. So I think there's a lot of room for it. I think I have more and more people now who are asking questions about like, hey, where do I start? Like, what do I look for? And it's like, okay, like I look into this. If you like it, buy it. If I look into this, if you like it, or buy it. If you're a plushie person, I'd buy. If I had the money, I'd buy this, this, and this.
mm.
I'm not gonna tell people to invest into something. I just said like, hey, keep an open eye. You never know. Like, I like if you like Pokemon Go, then maybe eventually you want and your favorite shiny is. I don't know, a shiny Charizard, then maybe you want an actual physical version of a shiny Charizard. That could be something to kind of commemorate you catching a shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Um, and
Mm.
that's just kind of how I view it. And eventually, I do want to get all of these graded. I want
Yeah,
to get
that's what
I want to get
waiting.
everything graded.
Yeah, I'm waiting on for you to. I would love for you to get some of the other stuff graded, but my Pikachu, my sealed Pikachu is just
Oh
it
man,
is it's a little beat up, but
I think my Spinaracts are beat up. The bubble's beat, but it's still sealed.
yeah, mine's still completely sealed. It's the cardboard around it's a little the corners are a little bent,
Oh, I
but
mean, like some of my card, like a lot of my cards are damaged, but it's the fact that it's still sealed and attached to the bubble. And there's probably portions of it that are not sealed. That I think that I think I mean it's still there, right? Like being able to find them sealed is so hard to do. Now, there is a auction going on right now for a shiny Tyrogue, and let me go ahead and pull it up right here. I love TCG non-related items. Hey, good, awesome. I'm right there with you, Master Trainer Ryan. Eddie Tepak says I've been collecting those ID cards for about 3 years, and I have some in really, really nice condition. I would say near mint, but yeah, it's hard to find them in minty because of their packaging. Yes, that is basically it. Let me see. Let me check on eBay real fast while everyone's still here. Let's see, eBay.com. Shiny Tyrogue.
yeah, or just shiny metallic Tyrogue. That's usually what they usually put in the metallic.
Yeah, it's at $110.50 with only 6 bids. But this was kind of like
Is this sealed or unsealed?
this is sealed.
Okay.
But it ends next Wednesday, right? At 10:59 p.m. Now,
Oh, yeah, 100.
huh? Yeah, it's at $110.50. But this is kind of what happened with the Cynical, right? Cynical is at such a low valuation that like it jumped up thousands upon that, like within seconds, dude. Like I don't know, like to me, like Tyrogue is also fairly difficult to like. All these are hard to find, and the bubble looks really good. I mean, like there's a crease. There's a crease that on it, but like it's still and there's some damage on the back of the card too. But it's just one of those things where chances are you're probably not going to find another one. Like I only have one shiny Tyrogue. Like I've never found a duplicate of this, and this is probably the second time I've seen this on here. Do I want to buy it? I would if I could financially, but I just spent a decent amount of money on a Beckett 9 Black Orc Greymon. Otherwise I would totally, I myself would scoop this. I don't care. I know there's gonna be people who are gonna go for this. I know that there's people who are gonna go for this. And I know for a fact that they're probably looking at this right now.
Oh yeah.
And I'm probably not helping when I put it up on my story, just saying like, hey, what do you guys think this is gonna go for?
Hey, dude, bump it up, man. I'm all for getting it because you're not saying how much it should be worth this and manipulating the market and all that bullcrap. You're saying, hey, here's the attention it deserves. What do you guys
How about
think?
it?
Go at it. Right.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not telling people that, hey, this is the world's rarest thing. This should be worth $1 million, right?
No, I
Or
will
the
say this is
gold-
the most shiny Tyrogue toy because it is probably the only shiny Tyrogue toy.
It's definitely one of the rarest. It's definitely one of the rarest sealed Pokemon toys you're ever gonna find. Period. Because
Yeah.
how many are rarer than that? How many have you
Well,
seen? One of
how
them.
many sealed shiny Pokemon toys do you ever find, right?
Period.
Yeah, period.
Period.
Just in general, like how often do you find that? So like that's something that I just who knows, maybe something will pop up and maybe I'll be able to participate within the auction, but I probably won't.
Nah, you already got one, dude. Dude,
I had 2 shiny Spinaracts, dude. It's not above me not to have a duplicate.
Don't do it, bro. It's funny that you say that. I do too, but I only got another shiny Spinarak. Hey, you want my other one? I have one right here if you want it.
Do I want a third one? Nah, I don't know if I want a third one.
Come on, dude. He's right here.
Oh, that's out of the box. That's out of the box. I don't want something out of the box. I want mine sealed.
Yeah, dude,
I
come on.
want mine sealed. Reason because it's just like I don't know. I just like it's kind of like having the encasing around a card, right? Like you have that thing that like separates
I
you
get it.
from
I
the actual
totally
toy
get it.
itself.
Yeah,
So like
sealed.
I don't know. I just have much more joy with it. Maybe I'll buy. I don't know. I probably won't. Because I often get duplicates because it's like, oh, maybe like I can use this as leverage for a trade one day. Like,
No,
oh,
100%.
like, oh, you have a shiny Tyrogue? Oh, well, I have a shiny, I don't know, Pikachu. Let's trade. Cool. Boom. There we
Yeah.
go. Like, at that point, it makes sense. Like, value aside, it makes sense. So, like, that's just kind of the, like, my approach to things. Like, even though, like, I just got another shiny Rayquaza from you. I'm gonna send it over to my buddy Zach Lugo just because he loves shiny Rayquaza, and I think that'd be pretty cool for him to have, and I think like that's just something that he would appreciate, and it's just good for the hobby overall. But yeah, I think that's like, I don't know. When we talk about sure things, I think these figures are kind of a sure thing for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't remember who said it, but someone said like I'm sitting on a gold mine when it comes to no the person that confirmed the sale of the shiny Cynical combat figures. He says, "Shiv, you're sitting on a gold mine." And I'm like, okay, but all it really takes is for someone like Dubsy to say like, "Oh, this is worth something," and then everyone would have to shut up and then just oogle over buying the stuff because he's buying everything that's worth something.
I'm surprised he's not. I don't know why he's not on figures at this. What is he even getting? That's like, why would you not? What else is he getting?
I don't know. I don't know if he's fully aware of it. I don't know if the information is present with it. Like obviously right now the biggest hype right now is behind signatures and sketches right now. Which reminds me, I don't know if you know, but I bought a SpongeBob sketch 1 of 1.
Yes,
card.
I did. I saw that too, and I'm just like, gosh, dang it, dude. This is what I'm saying. I'm serious. Go to Collecticon. We gotta look for these.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say. Actually, I'll just go ahead and say how much I spent on it. I spent $1,000 on it. I'm kind of disappointed in myself.
That is
but
a
the boxes,
1 of 1 SpongeBob sketch though.
But there
dude.
are 1 of 1 SpongeBob sketches by Paul Tibbet that my buddy Marcus his channel used to be called ADHD's World. Now it's called Anime Alley. I think there's like the dude has millions of subscribers. I think that video that he pulled one in ended up getting like 770,000 views on. And I was talking to him the other day. He has 3 different SpongeBob sketches, but the boxes, if you go on eBay, like the last sold for eBay was like $490 for just the Topps 2006 or 2009, I think, SpongeBob Square box. And I'm like, there's none that exist on eBay, like none. I tried looking for other like other people selling it in their whatever shops on Google, could not find any. And this was like the only one that I could find, and I'm content with it. I think it's just one of those things where like it's like near and dear to my heart. Like my mom, as a kid, my mom would just put on SpongeBob for me, and like if it wasn't Pokemon, like my nearest and dearest memories of like cartoons was SpongeBob before Pokemon. So like I was watching that before I was watching Pokemon. So like that's something to me that will never ever die. I think it's still the longest running American cartoon, unless it stopped in 2018. I can't remember, but it probably still is going on. But there's still like the variation, like the side show that they have on Paramount Plus called Camp Coral, and I just think it's just a cool buy. I mean, it's a cool talking piece too.
Oh, 100%, dude. It's same thing with Shrek, same thing with dude, I would die for anything like you said, like SpongeBob or I think what I got recently that I thought was super interesting was the I forgot what it was called. It wasn't oh my gosh, it's not Weiss Schwarz, which are also blowing up.
Yeah.
But which are cool. And I kind of want to get a little more into as well. But it was not JoJo. It was some anime. I can't for the life of me remember, but it was something that my girl really liked. And so we were just going through kind of like cool hobby boxes for that, kind of like Weiss Schwarz, but more of like the Chinese version. Or there was a Chinese special edition like Dragon Ball Z special edition box that we got at the last, I think it was one of the Collecticons, the last Collecticon, or 2 Collecticons ago. And they just have awesome, sometimes even metallic cards in there. And I'm like, dude, obviously this isn't really known in the TCG or anything big on the market, but this is so cool, and I love Dragon Ball Z, right? Yeah. So I'm like, dude, this is like, I'm not going to sell this. I just love that I pulled. The memory is worth more than any of the. Now, if someone obviously wants to give me $10,000 for it, maybe. I'll still have the memory up here. But, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just generally one of those things where more than likely the pricing isn't what I care about. And I don't care if you spend $1,000 on the SpongeBob thing. Dude, I totally get it. And you know what? All that does, in my opinion, is shows to other people, oh, that's what it's worth to someone. Realistically, that maybe
the seller was not adamant about going down on the price, and they were firm. So I was like, oh man, like 27 people were watching. I'm like, man, like this is peer pressure without having to peer pressure me. But I was like, you know what? I'll get it. You know.
Yeah, or the Rick and Morty. I remember there's these awesome Rick and Morty TCG cards that were
There
coming out
is,
with.
and they're very
That's like
expensive.
that's
They blew up. Series 1 and 2, they even sell the plates for it. So the printing plates that come with it, they sell print plates for it. They also sell the sketches. I mean, there's sketch cards within it too. So like, I think if you buy a box, I think it's worthwhile keeping. I think Rick and Morty, like I was looking at that. That's like literally on my watch list for series 1 and 2. Like they have different sketches of Rick, they have different sketches of Morty. I think there's like a one of a kind sketch on eBay of Rick and Morty. They have it listed at $4,000,
yeah,
and they don't have uh
OBO.
it could be an OBO. I can't remember exactly, but I don't think there was. But to see that and then just see the SpongeBob, I'm like, huh, I'm gonna go with the SpongeBob.
Totally, yeah, dude. It's
Yeah,
totally yeah. I totally get it, dude. And dude, my when Szechuan sauce, when that meme came out, dude, I was the first person. I drove all the way to frickin' to a different state to go to I think it was Albuquerque or somewhere near Area 51 to go to the McDonald's, one of the only McDonald's that was actually giving out the Szechuan sauce. I don't know if you remember when that thing was coming out, and it's
yeah.
like the first time they did it, not the second bullshit
The
redo.
first time they
The
did it with the
very first,
Mulan,
the
yeah,
very, yeah, the Mulan, the real Mulan, like right when that season came out, that episode came out, like a week later, they did the thing. And people don't know, but if you didn't go and you didn't get Mulan Szechuan sauce because they ran out of it, they completely screwed the pooch on it. Completely. That's where that meme, like Rick and Morty meme came from. Like, I want my Szechuan sauce. What they did is they had posters. I think I told you a little bit about it. They had posters, only like 100 or not even for each sauce. And each one, the one that everyone wanted was the Mulan Szechuan sauce. And that they're all numbered by hand by the artist, each one. And so it's like that, dude, that memory. I remember I went there and I said, "Where's Bob?" And Bob was the manager I had on the phone a week ago. And I'm like, "Bob, where's the sauce?" And he's like, "Oh, you're Connor. Sorry, man." He's like, "I recognize your voice. I'm sorry, dude. But we do have these posters. I don't know anything. They're just kind of giving me them." And I'm like, "Okay." And he told me, he's like, "I guess they're numbered, and there's like, we can only give out one for each sauce. So only 10 people could get the poster." And obviously, there's a bunch of people at McDonald's. I go, "I get first dibs. You promised me the sauce, Bob." And he's like, "You're right. Which one do you want?" I'm like, "Obviously, give me the Mulan." And so I
yeah,
got the Mulan, and it's there. Now I have that, and I will always have that memory,
yeah.
right?
It's
And
like,
it's like,
oh, sorry to cut you off. Like,
no, no, you're good. You're good.
I was in California for Collecticon for a week. Well, I was also there for Collecticon, but also I was pretty much there for a week. I went to Frankensons, and that's where I got all my boxes from. Right, I got my two Shrek boxes, and it was just like out of whim. My buddy 100 Charizards, aka Taplab on YouTube, he's like, "Hey Shiv," like as soon as I got there, because like they were already there. Like Don Diego, everyone was there before I was. So I was like, "Oh Shiv, by the way, like this vendor has Rugrats boxes. This vendor also had like that same vendor has like a bunch of different kinds of like off the wall like boxes. Like I felt like a kid in a candy shop because like there was just so many cool boxes. And like,
No,
dude, I bought the Dexter's Laboratory. I bought the Shrek 2 and 3. He didn't have Shrek 1. I wanted the Shrek 1
of
so
course.
bad. Um and I also got the Rugrats one. And when I opened up the Shrek 3 box, no, the Shrek 2, yeah, the Shrek 3 box, and I pulled an autograph card, but it wasn't really an autograph card, it was a redemption card.
I remember, yeah, I know. I was there, dude. I
Yeah,
remember when you
and it
pulled that,
expired, and
dude.
I'm like, dang. And then, the next day I opened up the Shrek 2 box just by myself, just hanging out, and I pulled the sketch card of Artie, which I thought was really cool. And I was like, man,
That's
and that was
awesome.
number 2. That's numbered. Um, the Dexter's Laboratory was just kind of like a fun thing. Like the rest of the box, the Rugrats and the Dexter's Laboratory, I saved it for Collecticon. I was like, I'm literally buying this for all of us to open. And like the day before Collecticon, all of us are just hanging out in the hotel lobby and we're just ripping it open. We're having fun. And like right before I even open it, like before I even open up the box, I'm like, I want to pull the first edition Dexter's mom because she is dummy thick. And the first pack in, I pull it. I'm like, thank God. That was the only one that we pulled out of it, and I'm like, this is really cool. So like I kept that as a memory, and then Don Diego's Lore's brother Len pulled a numbered Rugrats card, and he just said like, Shiv, like you bought these, so like this is only yours. So like the Rugrats card that I have is numbered. There's 3 different variations of those numbered cards, and I think there's like this one special one. It's like 1 out of 4,200 packs, and I'm like, That's a lot. There's no way there was that many. I don't know. Like they only made 7,000 boxes. Like there's one special one, and I know Marcus from ADHD's World is still trying to go after. He's opened up hundreds of boxes of it, and I'm like, now I need to do that. And there was a Sailor Moon box too that looked really really pretty. There for $175. I'm like, dude, I want that. So like, I know the spot. I'm not gonna tell anyone. I'm gonna tell one of my buddies to go to Frankenstein and just I'm gonna give him a lot of money for it once I have a decent amount of money, and just say like, hey, I'm gonna give you like I want this box, this box, this box.
Dude.
Just ship it all to me.
Dude, whatever you do, because now I was about to say I gotta get my connections to Frankensons now, dude.
Yeah.
If now I'm on the lookout for that Rugrats card, dude, because I'm serious. That's kind of where I want to transition. Where you've been at is kind of where I want to go to now. I know we're running, we're over time again. We got to get going, but
we're like 15 minutes over time.
Yeah, again. Foursquare, Jesus Christ, I still have to eat. Regardless, we'll end it with this. I want to be where you're at now with this nostalgia ride, because your whole point of I just like it because it's fun. I have these good memories and this brings joy to me. I am so beyond this I need to be the very best like no one ever was mentality, because you know what? In all honesty, like I've been there, done that, been having that mindset for too long, and in all honesty, it hasn't brought me nearly as much joy, to be completely honest, compared to the memories I've gotten with cards that really aren't worth that much and aren't that rare and aren't that this, right? And I'm like, cool. Do I still want to have that competitive mindset? I still want to have my shinies. I still want to PvP and beat people.
You can have the best of both worlds. Like it's gonna take a break. That's really it. Like for me, it was just like simply, dude. The Shrek 3 box had scratched sniff cards.
I remember.
Granted, like I tried scratching it. There's no smell on it because of how old it is. And I'm like, dang it! I wish there was some there was a donkey's. I still have them. I have them in my case. It's sitting in my car. But like, dude, it'd be just so cool just for like to be able to smell what donkey smell like. I'm like, dang it, this would be really cool. Or scratch and sniff Shrek card. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, like this is really cool. It's like I have all of them. I do plan on getting it all graded. I do plan on getting my Rugrats card graded. I do plan on getting my Dexter's Laboratory Mom card graded, and my Sketch Shrek card graded. I'm just having fun with it all. You know, like I think you know, it comes down to like what Pokemon, like like I said, it comes down to why I came into this hobby. This hobby was to connect, collect, and just make this into a career out of it, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing all those already. You know, if I were to stop collecting Pokemon today and you were to ask me, Shiv, are you content with what you have right now? The answer would be absolutely yes, 100%. I might not have completed things that I want, but I'd be completely content. And if you just told me, hey, Shiv, just open up these nostalgia boxes, I'd do it, you know, all day, every day. And dude, they only cost like all those boxes cost me $75 a pop.
Yeah, it's totally.
And it's like you look at Pokemon booster boxes that sell for, I don't know, $100, $120. You see and you know, I'm not hating on anyone that buys Pokemon boxes. It's like, oh well, like if this modern box costs $100 and this only costs like $75, but it's 2 decades older, then
it has way rarer stuff, way more memories attached to it. No one gives a crap about Ultra Prism, right? And yet,
no, I don't know. I mean, like you still like you can be like, you know, I'm not gonna hate on modern because I think like some of the stuff that I'm seeing right now as far as alternative arts go are absolutely gorgeous, right? And I know for a fact they'll age really well. But I will say that and the thing is, it's not nostalgic for me. So if I open up any modern product, I'm giving out to kids, period. But like me opening up those Shrek packs, even my bulk stuff, I was giving out to kids, and they loved it. They're like, Shrek, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, my mission, I'm gonna make another video, and I botched the opportunity. I missed the opportunity completely. Was that I went around telling like people like, hey, I'm about to make Shrek the most expensive card, and they're like, how? I'm giving all of these kids right now a free bulk card of Shrek or Donkey or anything of the sort that looks funny, and then eventually in 20 years or so, Shrek's gonna be more expensive than Charizard. So like that was a really cool concept video that I just literally thought of like on my way back from California. I'm like, man, that was a really cool opportunity. I still have all my bulk. I'm still gonna give it out to kids next week when I'm in Kansas City, and you know I'm just gonna have a blast doing it. It's just fun, man. I'm just like doing what is fun is what I want this to be. I don't want things to be not fun, right? The moment things are not fun for me, I'm not doing. It's
Yeah.
like me doing grading. It became to the point where I did not have fun. So I only grade with certain kinds of people now. Like with certain kinds of people now. If I like them, if I think they're an absolute joy to work with, 100% I'll grade your cards. Um, but I don't do it anymore. I'd much rather make content, post it, get off of social media. Because like I don't want to have to deal with that same person for numerous amounts of months where they're constantly pestering me. Granted, I understand why, because these grading companies are holding onto your cards far longer than they should be. But
Yeah.
you know, I have an understanding with these grading companies as well. Like they weren't expecting any of this to happen, but you know, I'm still having fun with this. I've been trying to get into contact with CGA, which is the company that's over AFA for toy grading, and I sent them a DM, but they didn't respond. I keep calling them, they don't pick up. So I'll figure out a way. Because like, how cool would it be to just get like like a 1.5 inch box of this, and it just has like a tiny little grade of this.
Yeah, don't even get me started, dude. If they can ever do something specialized like that, you know where all my stuff is going, man.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
would just absolutely adore that.
yeah. I'm gonna like I'm gonna get everything graded. I'm gonna get rid of this shelf and just like make a custom wall of all these graded toys, and it's just gonna look so fucking nice, dude.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like all my toys right now are just sitting on the floor and shit.
yeah. Yeah, well, not just, but like within this past year or two, a year, you know, I still have a lot of my stuff in boxes too. Like there's still so much stuff that isn't on the walls, but yeah. So I've only recently created things like hold it, but you have a lot bigger stuff because all your shit's sealed. So I can see why that kind of takes up more space.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I like looking at it in seal because like I can see, you know, the product design and how they marketed it.
Oh yeah,
It's
totally.
just
Yeah.
there's a level of history behind it, so I just like it for what it is. But
Mm.
you know, I appreciate you coming onto this podcast. You know, you're definitely more than welcome to come on anytime you'd like. Guys,
Oh,
we don't have a whole lot of people in here, but if you are watching, there is a podcast tomorrow as well. We're having Diza Gamer. He is a long time coming, big video game collector. So we have him on. He is a big sealed WATA collector, like has a lot of vintage video games, has been going crazy at it. So if you're available tomorrow evening, we have him on here. I think either 9 or 10 o'clock. I can't remember exactly, but you know, if make sure you're following me, I'll have that figured out tomorrow. And on that note, you know, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Make sure you do, or make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us through Apple Music or Spotify, make sure you give us a 5-star review. It helps. And again, like I said, if you have any particular criticisms or any, you know, potential guests that you'd like to see on the podcast, let me know, and we'll go from there. Appreciate you coming on, Connor. We'll catch up soon, man. Oh, we'll probably talk after this. Like, I don't even know when we say catch up soon. I'm probably gonna see you in Denver or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
dude, of course.